Going. So cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. We're going to talk about Dr. Rath's research, nutrients in and toxins out, and then improving your life with habits will be in the second part.
Awesome.
And so the thing to think about through all this is, do you really trust, or do your actions show that you really trust how you were made and designed? Okay. So doctors remain confused as to how the artery blocking process occurs, said Life Extension a few years back. And I'm not claiming to know more than doctors by any means, but Dr. Rath has some amazing research that I feel like they haven't recognized for some reason. So we're going to take a look at that today. But most cardiologists overlook specific mechanisms that inflict arterial wall damage. Okay, you know that from the heart flows the arteries, right? And the blood flows through there, and then it comes back through the veins into the heart. So the heart oxygenates what goes into the arteries. When the arterial walls get damaged, that's when fat accumulates inside the arteries and causes problems. So only a few of the factors that accelerate arterial blockage, such as elevated LDL, are addressed in today's clinical setting. They overlook the causes. They know that cholesterol accumulates, so they address cholesterol. So this is a page from one of Life Extension's brochures where it shows 17 different factors that affect the heart.
Wow.
There's low blood EPA and DHA. You guys probably know that as omega-3s, right? There's elevated C-reactive protein, which is a marker of inflammation. There's excess LDL, which is a type of cholesterol. We're going to talk about that. I think if you had a chance to look through the first parts, it explains what low density lipoproteins are. Excess insulin. Why would somebody have too much insulin if they weren't taking insulin as a drug? Can you guys think about that? Do you know?
Because like their levels are unbalanced, like because they're diabetic?
Okay, that's exactly right. What would cause the insulin to go up in a body? Do you know? It's sugar.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, I know this is in the module.
Yeah, no worries.
I know, but did I write it down?
Yeah. So excess LDL causes, or I'm sorry, excess insulin is caused because when your sugar level goes up, your insulin goes up to bring it back down to normal, because your body wants to stay at an even blood sugar level, because that's where you feel the best, that's where you function the best. And your body's always trying to bring you into balance. So low HDL, that's high density lipoproteins. Those are the ones that are exiting the body, and they consider them good cholesterol. High glucose, so too much sugar. So we're going to talk about how these all relate to each other, so you won't have to stress about that. But nitric oxide deficit, we're going to talk about that and what causes us to be short in nitric oxide. Insufficient vitamin D. You guys probably know how you can be short in vitamin D, but we're going to also talk more about that in, I think, module 5. Low vitamin K, excess estrogen, hormones, right? Excess triglycerides, and this is a part of cholesterol that's specifically caused by sugar consumption most of the time. Low free testosterone, which is another hormone that I won't go into how it can actually change into estrogen, which sounds wild, but it can. and it's not usable when it changes into other forms. So the free testosterone is what men need to feel healthy. So again, hormone regulation. Excess fibrinogen, when your body is creating too many fibrous materials, and it's usually in response to an injury. And so that is what helps to stop the injury. Excess homocysteine, which usually is related to B vitamins or a lack of B vitamins. Hypertension or high blood pressure. And honestly, that's usually because the arteries are starting to occlude, but it could be somebody stressing too much about what's going on in life. And then excess cholesterol and oxidized LDL. So that's oxidation causes damage to fats. So when the LDL cholesterol is oxidized, it causes a lot of problems. We're not going to address all those problems, but that's even suspected to be a factor in like Alzheimer's disease.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So most of these come down to too much sugar. If not most, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them of the 17, so about a third, come down to too much sugar. You get too much sugar in your bloodstream, your insulin goes up to bring it down. But before it brings it down, your glucose level is high, right? And in diabetes, a lot of times it'll stay high because the insulin isn't going into the cells like it needs to.
Yeah.
So low HDL, that actually can also be addressed with exercise. Hypertension, interestingly enough, can also be addressed with exercise, not just addressed with it. I think that's why we get high blood pressure, because we're stressing and we're not exercising. Excess fibrinogen, which we talked about repair, but it's also from inflammation, and excess cholesterol or LDL cholesterol. Lack of B vitamins caused by excess homocysteine. I just want to talk about this for a minute because homocysteine is one of the most consistent markers. Like if somebody had heart disease and they went into the doctor's office and the doctor tested for homocysteine levels, high levels are not good. High levels are a problem. So they find that B6, folic acid, and B12 work together to reduce homocysteine levels. And what happens is cysteine is actually an amino acid that the body uses to make more amino acids and antioxidants that help clear out the liver. And when you don't have the B6, B12, and folic acid that you need, the homocysteine levels go up. But when you have those B vitamins, it uses them as methionine and cysteine and antioxidants to help detoxify the liver. So it's a little complicated right now, but you don't have to stress. I think that you'll be grasping it by the end of this.
Okay. Awesome.
So lack of exercise can lead to excess insulin, and you wouldn't think that they were related, except that when you exercise, your cells receive the glucose and the insulin into your cells. But when you don't exercise and you have too much glucose in your blood, the cells say, oh wait, there's too much here. We don't want to bring it into the cell. And so excess insulin and high glucose can actually cause the cells to not be receptive to insulin unless you exercise. And when you exercise, all of a sudden, so diabetes is not just from consuming too much sugar, it's also from being sedentary or not moving a lot, right? So HDL is the high density lipoproteins, or the good cholesterol that's moving out, and that goes up in a good way when you exercise. High blood pressure normalizes itself when you exercise.
Mm.
So there's a lot of benefits. It's not the only answer. And as you guys are slim, you probably don't even realize this, but there are people that can be very frustrated at gaining weight and then exercising and not finding that they're losing weight, because a lot of it really has to do with diet. But these factors are exercise. Not enough sunshine makes for low vitamin D. Now there are other factors, right? You have to have enough acidity in your stomach to be able to utilize fat-soluble vitamins. You have to be eating enough fat to be using fat-soluble vitamins.
Mm.
And so there are other factors, but this is a big one. So poor hormone regulation, which often is because of poor liver function. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. So another third are related to poor liver function, which you can also do something about, and we'll be talking about that later. But excess estrogen, low free testosterone, excess cholesterol, C-reactive protein up, all those things are related to the liver not working like it should. And so when the liver doesn't work like it should, the hormones don't normalize themselves like they should. And lack of protein, vitamin C, and collagen can lead to excess LDL and low nitric oxide, which is also impacted by lack of veggies with nitrates and a lack of antioxidants. So you don't have to memorize this, but I want you to understand that so many factors that affect our cardiovascular system, we are in control of, because it does make sense. God did make us with a good design. So lack of fish oils or cod liver oil will lead to low blood EPA and DHA, which are the omega-3s. Insufficient vitamin D can also be helped with cod liver oil. So despite thousands of studies validating that atherosclerosis is a multifactorial process, what does that mean? Multifactorial.
There's a bunch of different aspects.
Exactly. A lot of different causes, right? Lots of different factors that can affect it.
Yeah.
So today's doctors often prescribe a statin drug. That's like the typical prescription as the only therapy to prevent and treat coronary atherosclerosis, but we can see that there's a lot that we can do. So the big scary list here of what can affect the heart can be prevented with less sugar, more sunshine, exercise, B vitamins, cod liver oil, improved liver function, antioxidants, protein, and collagen.